Whiskey and Wade going all the way.
What up, world? Welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey and Wade Show. With me, your host, the late skin legend, Tommy Mac.
And me, your batter host, Taylor McKenna.
Kid Scorpion. And this episode is in association with Bud Later and Baked Potato. Find them on all social media. If you know, you know.
Two legends.
And also, just a quick reminder, the 9th of August is coming around fast. We are doing a live show at the Devonish.
Yep.
The guest on the night will be Anthony Kakachi, world champion, from this very gym, this very area, Andytown, the Andytown Apache, and the one and only Labyrinth. Come in. That's right, Labyrinth will be there.
Big star. I could possibly do that with him on stage. We don't know what's going to happen, but Brinfy is going to be there.
So tickets are all online. Check out my social media, Tyrone's social media to get in, because you don't want to miss out. This is once in a lifetime opportunity for the Belfast area. Down to the Devonish, you have a world champion, you have a world beater in music, and somebody else who's a fucking top entertainer in the world. You don't want to miss it. But anyway, here today on this episode, we are joined by a very special guest. This woman is a psychedelic therapist, an activist, a revolutionary, and the most controversial person in the country this year. Folks, you may have seen her on WhatsApp, social media, and
newspapers, everywhere.
Everything hitting the headlines. It's the one and only Clodagh Byrne.
Yo! How are you, boys?
Welcome to the show, Clodagh.
Oh,
how are you?
Great to be here, boys. Thank you so much for getting me on.
What I want to bring up is, see, when I first seen the video, obviously last week you were plastered all over social media doing the 12th of July parade where you flashed
walking up a road.
And instantly when I saw it, I just thought it was some maniac flashing people. But there's actually a deeper reason to it. So what is that reason?
Yeah, so I suppose I'll start off. We are in a great time of revolution. Something that's never really been seen in living memory. So do you know your astrology?
Not really.
So.
Yeah, so Pluto moved into Aquarius on March the 23rd, 2023. This was the dawning of the age of Aquarius. You'll hear that along. But the last time this happened basically was a time of great revolution. It was a time of the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. So basically the world is now witnessing another time of revolution. So we all know what's happening in Palestine. Israel, occupying state that is funded by the US, is carrying out an open genocide on the Palestinian people. Not so long ago, we had our own, I suppose, Palestine situation, given the troubles here in the north of Ireland. People were executed, murdered. There was collusion between UVF, UDA and the RUC, a force that was meant to protect us and uphold the law, was actually complicit in the murder of the Irish people. So there's a lot of parallels between Palestine and Ireland. So what happens in Irish soil directly affects what happens in Palestine soil. And the reason for that is when England started its reign of terror, and I mean, there's not a fucking country that the Brits have not fucked over. It's been fucking 0 days, as we said, since the Brits were at it. And fucking,
they're always at it.
They are never not at it, just all the time. But the first place that England ever invaded, the first country they ever colonized, was Ireland. And one of the last countries that they ever colonized was Palestine, Gaza. So you can see that sort of parallel, us being the first, them being the last, because what we're seeing in Israel is it's British funded. Like, that all started with the Brits. So what basically happens in Ireland directly affects Palestine. So if Ireland can gain its freedom and its independence, then this will have a knock-on effect. You look at how revolutions happened, and when one country changes, it sort of starts a domino effect. So I believe that when Ireland is a free and reunified country, that the crown is off this island, that will actually send a wave across the world. I could get into, now this is very sort of energetic, that Ireland is the heart chakra of the world. So you've heard about this here?
No.
So Ireland, basically, there's 7 chakra points in the body and there's 7 chakra points in the world. So Ireland is the heart chakra of the world. So the world is currently operating with a broken heart because the head of the island isn't working. So for the heart of the world, the energetic heart of the world to start beating again, Ireland must be reunified. So not only will this help our island, it will help the whole world. So that's always been something I've been passionate about, is the reunification of Ireland. Now, when I became a social worker, when I graduated in 2017, I had to basically stop all that. Like, I wasn't allowed to express my beliefs in that. For, I was out supporting Protestants and Catholics. Like, I wasn't allowed.
Why would you get sex?
Huh? Oh,
you just have to be in indifferent, but don't you? It can't be shown.
Oh, you can't express any views. I'll never forget, like, my first day in placement was in the Southwest Acute Hospital in Enniskillen, and Arlene Foster, it had just been that whole scandal, where they were putting, what do you call it, the fucking gas burner, when the DUP were like putting loads of money. So I came in and I was like, oh, did you hear about Arlene Foster? And the woman in my office was like, shh, do not mention anything about her. And I was like, what? She done really corrupt. You're like, you're a social worker. You're not allowed to have any express. I was like, for fuck's sake, what am I going to do?
Hard, like, for you being, you seem to be like a compassionate person, being a social worker, because we working with children, or?
Yeah, I've worked with children, adults, mental health.
I worked in like a youth project, and social workers were the enemy. Children see them, they all hate the social workers. So
I never took children off families. I always worked like in children homes. I worked in like teams that would go out and help. I would never do that energetically because that's something I'll say about social work. Social work is a system that you used to get £100 back in the day to take a child off a family. So social work is one of the most, So see, looked after children. That is one of the most corrupt forms of social work, because they take children out of these impoverished families and put them in fucking children's homes, or put them, and see the abuse that's going on in children's homes. The PSNI Strabane members told me a few horrific stories that are currently going on. So I was like, brilliant. But they take them out of these homes in poverty, put them in children's homes, put them in foster families, and then basically fuck them up whilst in the system. And then at 18, they just kick them out the fucking door. So these children are like, what the actual fuck? Like, if they would just be provided with help in these families with poverty, because a lot of these parents just need money. They just need someone to go in and support them. But you can't make money from that. Like, having a specialized carer going in and helping these families wouldn't make the government money. Like, there's so much money in Tusla, there's so much money in the trust that does this here. So like, that's a big part of my revolution as well. Like, I start with this here, but like, I intend to take down the care system here in Ireland. Like, I've made so much contacts with kids in care, like, have really, really positive. So like, I've like a big plan of what to do. But I suppose it started with the 12th of July. And I'll give you a wee bit of a context about why I done that there. So I remember being 6 years old, and I grew up in Clodagh. So Clodagh was one of the most bombed towns in Europe. And I remember being 6 years old, and I was wearing a Celtic top. Not that I was a big Celtic supporter. It was like a hand-me-down from me brothers. And I'll never forget hearing the drums. And I was like, wow. And I just fucking opened my granny's door, stepped out the door and walked across the street. And I'll never forget an RUC member. He fucking roared the head of me. He's like, get you up! Like, screaming at me for being out there in my Celtic top. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Mummy, the policeman told me to go.
That's weird. It's
and you know what she said? No, she said, she's like, Clodagh, like, we don't go to that. Like, we're not allowed. That's not. And I was like, what do you mean? But there's drums and music. Like, a wee 6-year-old couldn't understand. I just fucking heard the drums.
So did that spook you? And like, because obviously that's a memory attached, the 12th, like, getting shouted at.
Yeah, and it was like, it's solidified me, like, you're not allowed to be part of this. And I was like, but what do you mean? It's on my front door. Like, I couldn't understand that there. So as a social worker, like, I used to, it's quite interesting when this whole thing happened. Like, people were mashing me like, Clodagh, you're going to get killed. Like, these are loyalists, UVF, UDA. Like, people are going to kill you. And I'm like, but I see the other side. As a social worker, I would have worked with a lot of Protestant kids in care and like had a real special relationship with them. But like, I used to take them up to the Shankill, to the parades, So we as nationalists might see the negative side of the marches, but I seen the positive side. Like, that was a wee boy in care that had no family, no connections. But what he did have was his fucking lambeg drum. And he drummed that with so much fucking pride. We would go out and watch him in the parades, taking photos of him. And like he didn't care that, it was fucking Protestant domination over Catholicism. He was just there with his friends and his drum, and it was
as a person. But you're heavy on the United Ireland, obviously. Would that sicken you going then? Kind of.
Absolutely not, because I was able to see, I suppose, I
From
can
a
see
different
beyond the
perspective,
hate, because
yeah.
you know we see a lot of hate in the media with loyalism, but there's also a lot of good family stuff that happens there. You know, like uh, I was, as when I was out in the 12th, the newspapers aren't describing this part, but I actually got invited between the parades to a lunch with the Sandy Row. So they brought me on their private bus. They broke bread with me, fed me,
Was
they
this
give me whiskey.
after
No, this
you
was
done?
on the 12th. This was during the parades, because you march around the whole of Belfast. So like I found myself in front of the Sandy Row band. And you think Sandy Row, you think, you know, deep, but they just seen a girl in this ash, like they were calling me the Taylor Swift of loyalism. So like I was like, oh, come on. And they took me to the supporters club, and like, honest to God, the way I was treated was absolutely
I think about
amazing.
her cutting Sandy Row, same or most wig sticks. So sure, it's Sandy Row, and the Croc, Lewis the Crocker,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, I
from
followed him before.
Sandy Row.
Wow.
So and like you're saying, everyone's sound right now.
Sound as fuck. And this is what I was trying to promote when I wore that sash. First of all, I wanted to go out and hear the stories of loyalist and unionist people, because the main trigger, I suppose, for me was the Israel flags that are flying across the north of Ireland now as part of this 12th celebrations. I was like, what the actual fuck? If this is meant to be, you know, a proud culture, then why are they flying swastikas as part of that there? And I wore the sash. The sash got a first.
Where did you get it?
I ordered it online.
Alright.
Yeah.
Is that how
You just
easy
ordered
to
it?
get?
Yeah, you can just order them.
I thought you had to get. There was like a induction or anything.
No, geez, anybody
Finally,
can
you're
get it. You can
getting
get a
your
sash
sash.
online. Like, I wanted one with a gold trim, because I'm not really into silver. Like, so I was raging. Like, to upset me outfit. I always wear this snake. The snake represents the feminine principle. So, I got me fucking sash, and I went to Stendhal Festival, and like, you know, people just coming up, like asking me about the sash. Like I had a sash Karen, so I was having this lovely moment with a wee guy with Down syndrome. We were dancing to Paolo Nutini Candy, and a sash Karen came up to me, and she was like, "You shouldn't be wearing that sash," and she was like, "I'm going to report you to your lodge." And I was like, "Sash Karen, I'm having a moment with that little guy. Like, leave me alone." And then a group of girls came up and tried to rip the sash of me, but
Jesus.
that was all. Everything else was really, really positive.
Was there any fear when you were on the day when you were going to do it?
That's the thing about me, boys. I work very closely with mushrooms.
So I
Mushrooms.
was high.
Yeah. No. So what do you hear? I wasn't high. I took no mushrooms
zero.
on the 12th or the
Okay.
11th, for reasons being that like I needed to be as close to the energetics of the people I'd be walking beside. But when you've worked with mushrooms as much as I have, the mushroom just is always within you, and you can tap into that. But like one thing,
Whereas one,
whereas one thing, like I had no fear, even when I was in that police station, when I had all these charges labelled against me, like hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. Like John Fahey, my solicitor, he was like, "Clodagh, I've never seen a reaction like this." Even when I thought I was going to be sent to jail this weekend up to Hydebank, I was like, "Oh well, I'll get to meet." You know, I was thinking about your woman, you know, that killed. Do you remember that? It was James Nesbitt was on that documentary. Remember, she gassed someone in the car. I was like, I'd love to meet this woman, because I'm a therapist. I was like, I'd love to meet this woman and help her. Like,
Wasn't going to you.
I know, I was like, and even still, guys, if I get sent to jail over this here,
So
like,
hold on, right? So just for anyone who doesn't know why you would be getting sent to jail, so why did you get arrested?
so I got
What are you
arrested
getting charged
on
with?
7 counts of basically a hate crime. So it's so interesting. When I first got arrested on Thursday, they charged me on 2 counts of indecent exposure. Now this is incredible, because flashing your nipple isn't actually indecent exposure. They didn't even check the law long enough. I had so many solicitors writing me, like, you actually...
did you know this before?
I knew before I got arrested, but guess what the fucking idiot's done? So they changed then why they're arresting me, like whilst I was in jail. So that looks really, really bad for the High Court now when I'm in court on the 16th of August. Like, it looks fucking terrible that they changed that. So now it's basically 7 accounts of, you know, inciting hatred, improper use of public communications.
Where's the hatred?
The hatred. So this is the interesting thing. The hatred thing doesn't actually come from the 12th of July. So that me flashing my tit, which I do a lot, like tits out, Brits out is my motto. Like, do you know what I mean?
I've seen it on your Instagram.
It's just part, like, even I put like Palestine nipple covers on
Yeah,
my
I've seen
tits.
that
I
as
think
well.
like sexuality is a great form of protest, and it's like it can be utilized like so well if you're not afraid to channel it. So
That's the first thing that when the first video came out, and then I think the next day my mates all sent in Palestine nipple cover, and I was like, fuck, she's actually a cat, because I thought you're Protestant and you're just on the fucking march.
Wow.
And then we seen that, I was like, fuck, she's actually a Catholic.
Yeah, I know, it was so interesting because
then I started digging more deeper and deeper into your story.
Yeah, it was so interesting now, this shift that I went from being a Protestant to then this like Protestant hater. And that's the thing, like I'll tell you, is like I lost my virginity to a Protestant. Like I am fucking my great granny. I was like my great granny was a Protestant. Like oranges are my favorite fruit. So I'm like, do you know what I mean? I fucking I'm more pro-prod than like most prods are, like so. But so the actual inciting hate, so the flashing the tits, that's causing lewd and disgusting and obscene behaviour. And I'm like,
no one even really batted an eyelid in the video. It was just like
everyone just
kept walking.
Oh guys,
okay?
See me
she
and
must
that
be doing this all the time.
see when I was walking in that parade, the fucking cheers and support I was getting. People were coming up fist bumping me, like Waynes were shaking hands with me. There was a woman out in the street that started fucking twerking with me. Like this walking out, the reception I got was absolutely incredible. It's only that when they went on my Instagram and they seen, the video I had shared before was me at the 11th bonfire in Newton Ards, blessing it with the ashes of the Ishnak fire, saying a prayer for United Ireland. They were like, we've been fucking
we've been compromised.
You were in one of the orange halls, fully naked, was it?
No, it wasn't. So this is where we're coming on to. So the main thing now that they're charging me on is a visit to Campbell College. So I was seeing a guy from Newton Ards. He's Protestant, Muller's British. Like he actually left the north because he was so terrified. Like the UVF and Newton Ards, that was one of their strongholds. And when he was growing up, because he was a bit of a hippie guy, like he got terrorized. So like he was with me in the north, and we were we went to the fire in Newton Ards. But on the 11th night, he was like, "Oh, can we stop off in my old school to see it?" Now I was fucking starving with hunger. I was so hungry, and I was like, and my ancestors would have starved in the famine, aka British genocide, but because he was, British born, he hasn't got that same thing for hunger. So I was like, can we please just go get something to eat? And he was like, no, we'll stop in the school. So fuck, I've never listened to a fucking orange man on 11 night. Let me fucking tell you, because this is the main crux now that the PSNI are charging me with. It's a video, right? So we go into the school. The school's open, so they're also charging me with trespassing. I'm like, the school's open. There's people like walking about, like, if I'm trespassing, like close the fucking doors. But we're in his musical classroom and we're playing about. Now they're saying that we were having sex. I'm like, where's your evidence that we were having sex? Like there is a video that I posted that I was naked. And in the video I say like, I tell him, I was like, you're not getting to come because of what your ancestors done to my land. I was like, you're not allowed to come now. And then it's just me dancing like naked, and I'm not showing my genitals, I'm just showing my breasts. And then there's a drum there, and I start playing the drum, give us back our 6 counties, back our 6. I'm like, yous British bastards, like, and I was here, and so they show this in my evidence. I know. But John Fahey, my solicitor's 71, he's beside me watching me dance naked with my tits out. That was so fucking funny.
But
this is the thing. This is the thing, guys. I'm fucking like, I'm not saying this to incite hatred. I'm saying it to slag my British-born Protestant boyfriend. But what I say in it, I go, fuck Campbell College or something like this. Now, Campbell College, do you know about this college?
Well, it's a private thing.
It's an elite school, so it is one of the highest recruitments for the British Army ever. They're cadets, like they're the most established school basically for British Army recruitment. So of course I find myself in there banging a drum saying "fuck the Brits." Now in the interview, this is the thing. In the interview, when the police, nobody here, it wasn't just any police officer that interviewed me. They got the top detectives from the Strand Road in for my case. Like it was fucking incredible. I'll go a bit into about my arrest in a minute because I really want to get into this part. But fucking Campbell College, like if I hadn't listened to him, if I just drove on, like this would be a very, very different story. It's that one video that fucking stupid me shared to Instagram. And I was just like, it shows, Instagram.
See the school? Was anybody else in the school?
There was like people like about playing, there was like a concert going to be on
Alright.
that, and I'm in the hall,
In the
like, you know what I
grounds,
mean?
alright,
So
right.
it's like, and like I was like, I'm writing a letter to the principal, just like explaining what happened and like saying my apologies and all. So like, you know, that's the main crux that they've got, which isn't something I wanted to do, but it was like, I say that all the time. I'm like, you know, fuck the Brits, like, and not actually fuck the British people, but fuck the Crown. Like, the Crown has caused so much fucking terror in Ireland. Like, our population starved and was halved over a genocide that Britain inflicted here. You know, I come from Ahiarn. There was a man murdered, Paddy Shanahan, and Paddy Shanahan had no IRA involvement, no links, but what Paddy Shanahan loved to do was Irish dance. He was so into his Irish culture, and the fucking British Army, RUC, they shot this man. Like, it was fucking disgusting. So this is like, they were like, oh, but you can't say fuck the Brits. And I'm like, absolutely I can. But I told the PSNI, I was like, you know, if I ever say that in another Instagram video, which I still will, I will write underneath it, fuck the British Crown. This isn't a relation to the Brits. Because like my auntie, you know, I have 2 cousins that are British. Like, my auntie's British. Like, I've nothing against the British
I think people do say
Yeah.
most
They're not
people
talking about
are
the
talking
people.
about the Crown. They're talking about
Yeah.
What the
Especially
British
like working
soldiers, they're
class
talking about
people will have more in common than that, like no
Yeah.
matter where you go in the world. So it isn't about the people, it is the Crown and
Yeah, and it's the British
history.
people. It's the British people that will help Ireland free. I know that. Like, Britain really wants, the British people really want to make amends for what their people have done. So like, I have this vision that if we get enough Brits to, you know, sign a QR code to get their MPs to call for a border poll, because a border poll won't be called by Stormont, like absolutely not. But the British, if there's enough MPs speaking about it, then absolutely we can. Like, and that just comes from basically signing a QR code. Like, so we're very, very close to Irish Revolution. Like, people don't realize, and like, this is a time that we can actually channel and change that. It's just, are we willing to step up and, you know, do stuff like that, like wearing a sash and walking in it, and like me wearing that sash as well, like, that was a creative process. So like, I'm organizing these festivals called Awaken in the North, and it's a way of getting like Protestants and Catholics around the fire, you know, speaking about our differences, you know, asking where do you keep your toaster. That's actually, that's not a good litmus test anymore, because
Where do
like,
you keep it?
we keep ours in the cupboard, which is where Protestants keep
So-
it.
so
Do
do
you
I.
keep yours? Oh, you prod.
I never used to.
I don't even have a toaster.
I got a new kitchen.
Just use
I got a new
ovens.
kitchen, and it ruins the way it looks. So I put it away now, and I'm like, fuck, I'm such a pro.
But even like, how far apart are your eyes between your head? And because obviously I'm a strong Republican, like United Ireland, like, we actually offer a 12% Protestant discount, 12% of course, to come to our festivals to get like equal representation. And like, I always say, you know, we'll have a tape fucking measure at the door, measuring the distance between your eyes. If you try and avail of any Fenians, try and avail of our discount. Like, so, you know, a big part of Awaken in the North is like learning about Protestant culture, learning about unionism. So our next one's on the 10th of August, and we've actually, in County Antrim, we've actually got a Protestant band coming to play, like a marching band. So like, I'm fucking big on how, like, United Ireland, I don't want a United Ireland that's
You're
not
right,
going to...
Clodagh, you're marching one parade, next thing you're getting them up for your festival. We'll go marching again.
But I don't want a United Ireland where Protestants and loyalists don't feel included and accepted, because they're absolutely terrified that, you know, if Ireland is united, like, will they still be able to go out on the 12th? The 12th means so much to them. Like, that is a culture that has been going on for fucking generations, and like, the sash is being passed down son by son. Now, we might, you know, mock and slander that, but for a lot of people, that's their only connection
Of
to a
course.
culture and
And
identity.
like I've said before, you know, if say your whole lineage of your whole life, from your grandmother, your granddad's granddad, and granddad, and so on, right back to the beginning of time, as you know, you've been British and you're proud to be British, and then you wake up one day and you go, actually, you're not British. Like, how much of a is that going to rattle you, break time? You're actually Irish, and you have, like, that's why I feel sorry for, like, well, not feel sorry, but, you know, sympathize with unionists who want to hold on to their heritage, because it's no, like, tradition passed on. You can't expect them just to jump on board straight away. It's like somebody turned around to you and said, actually, you're not Irish, you're friggin' Italian. Like, what are you gonna do?
This is the thing, guys. We think that the 12th of July is a celebration of being British. It's not. It's the celebration of a Protestant king, a Protestant, like, well, he was from Dutchland, a Protestant king triumphing over a Catholic king. So James the First, you know, wasn't fucking
English.
Irish. He was still English. You know what I mean? So it was two fucking like British war. So like, like as I don't understand, the Union Jacks are literally nothing to do with the 12. Like the 12th is about Protestantism. It's about like it's actually nothing to do. So we've fucking got it all wrong. And like what I noticed about the 12th of July in the Orange Lodge, they do a lot of pagan fucking traditions as part of it. So they take the sacred water from the Battle of the Boyne, and when they're walking, they like sprinkle it across the path. They meet at the Giant's Ring. The Giant's Ring is one of the most like Neolithic pagan parts of Belfast.
That's what
And they
all
have
the
a big
people used to
meeting
run
there.
up and do for dogging.
Oh, yeah. Is it a dog and spot?
How do you know?
Is it a dog and spot?
Well, that's what I was led to believe.
Well, we might be up there tonight.
Well, you're into paganism and very spiritual.
Yeah.
I've seen you drink out. Why did you drink out of a well? Why?
So, right, lads, and anyone listening to this, the main way to connect with your intuition and your like just that knowing that resides in all of us is through the water. So like the water we drink is far more important than the food we eat. So the water we're drinking from taps is dead water, you know, it's stripped, it's contaminated. Like in the south, it's put fluoride in it. Like when you actually drink water from the ground, from the earth, it's full of the electrolytes, minerals of nature, but it's also full of the energy of that land. So like I exclusively drink well water. Even if I'm in a cafe or a shop, like I won't drink tea, like I'll get a coffee or latte, because like the water we drink is so important.
See, like if we're getting bottled water and it's spring water, is that from a well or is
It
that?
depends what spring you're going from. A lot of these springs are still treated. So you look like Rockwell, Ballygowan, but like that's the thing. All these springs are over Ireland, and it's something I want to do is like release, because so many Belfast people be asking me like, Clodagh, where's the nearest like well spring from here? And like I still haven't found one in Belfast. Like so, if Belfast people were actually drinking the water from this land, you would not only get all the electrolyte and minerals, but you get the codes, the ancient codes of this land are held within the water. They're held within the mushrooms as well. But like you shouldn't be eating mushrooms all the time. But what you should be doing is drinking water from the land
So
all
if
the
you
time.
drank the water in Belfast, they'll end up whap their chops. It'll be full of everything.
You never know. It's just you can test the purity and like cleanse like what the test the water like. But I travel all over Ireland and drink loads of water. And when I was in that PSNI station, fucking like I swear I think they were spitting in my water or something like, because it just tasted fucking rotten.
When did you get arrested?
Yeah.
So I got arrested on Thursday, this Thursday, in Strabane at 4 o'clock. So stupid
Walk
bitch.
us through the arrest.
Huh?
What happened?
Walk us through it. How you got
arrest.
grabbed.
Oh, fuck, good to hear. So like I was driving through Strabane, and like this is how much they're after me, like high alert. Like they see my van coming in and they sent out the
Ireland's
police.
most wanted.
Ireland's most wanted. And I was like, holy fuck. I was driving through Strabane. I was going up to see my friend, and I, hungry bastard, I'm a greedy cunt. Like I was like, oh, I'll stop in Bob and Bert's and get a fucking coffee and a sausage roll. Not a coffee, a matcha latte. I'm fucking obsessed with matcha. So as soon as I stopped and fucking walked the car, I opened the door and was grabbing my bag, and then I literally just see the police car in front of me.
Did you
And
know it was for you?
Of course I knew it was for me. And I fucking leg it across the bridge. I fucking run it, and like,
Fuck off, did you run?
I love, and guys, this is the thing. This is the thing. No fear. This will come with the mushrooms. Like I literally have no fear. I see the police, and like I just see the chase and the crack and the fucking laughs out of me. I was just fucking legged it. So I leg it across the bridge. And the fucking police car jumps in front of me, and the boy gets out. And like literally, I have my phone in my fucking hand now. Like I'm a psychedelic therapist. I work with fucking the top millionaires, like business people in this world. So I have a lot of confidential, private, high class information on my phone. So I remember just sitting there on my phone. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I just fucking fired over the bridge into the water. And you know what they fucking, then they literally grab me and fucking whack me on the floor as if I was some fucking dog. And like I was standing there, like they thought I was psycho, I was going to attack them. I was standing there like just ready to be handcuffed.
Bruises over
Oh,
your
no.
arm.
Yeah, so
You
I'm
never get
fucking,
manhandled?
I've been fucking battered and bruised. So they fucking whack me on the floor, and they put the handcuffs on me. But you know what they says in the port? They were like, oh, she was going to jump over the bridge. Like they made me out. I was like, don't you fucking dare say I was going to jump over the bridge. Like like they made me out to be this absolute mental case. Even the arrest reports, you know, I was speaking saying of mine grand, and they were like, you know, does this client have a mental health condition? And they were like, yes. She states no, but it is widely known that the DP, the detained person, promotes the use of magic mushrooms on social media. That, let me tell you, magic mushrooms that are being fucking researched all over the world in universities, that they said that that's how they could prove that I was mentally unwell. I was like, ask fucking Gabor Mate, ask Rick Doblin, ask David Nutt, ask all the professionals. Are they fucking mentally unwell as well? Fucking RUC bastards, like. So honest to God, what do you hear? So I'm brought to the police station, and like when I was arrested, it was like, oh, fuck, something was just channeled out of me, but I was just fucking United Ireland. I kept saying to him, I'm like, oh, so what do you think about United Ireland? What's your views on it? No, I was like, you're going to look fucking deadly in an RUC uniform. Like, I was just cajoling them the whole way. Like, but then, like, I spoke about being a social worker and working in the children's homes, and then like the information I got about what is happening in these children's homes, like they told me specific social workers that are abusing these children that I always, so like,
did you know any of them?
Oh, I worked with the one person who is causing a lot of issue with children in a children's home in Enniskillen. Like the PSNI mentioned this person's names. I was like, this is all the fucking evidence I needed. So people might be like, oh, Clodagh, you got arrested, real shit. I'm like, there's a lot of positives that came out of that, because like I want to fucking take down this care system. So I was like, happy days.
What kind of abuse happens in the care system? Is it?
So these wee children are taken off their families and put in these children homes. They're being in these fucking homes, they're like fucking institutions. They're horrible, big long corridors, like rooms that are fucking stripped bare. They're put in these homes, like they don't have to go to school. Basically 11, 12, they start taking fucking drugs. Now I don't mean just smoking weed. They'll be taking fucking Lyrica, all the prescription drugs, like all the real bad ones, like fucking them up. Like the social workers can't really do anything. It's the system that is so fucking corrupt. They're in town, so they can just walk out and leave. Like we 11-year-olds, like child sexual exploitation is a big issue amongst like girls that go into the care system. Like they're, people will be out in town, like know they're in care system, so they'll actually hire them to basically have sex with men. They could be 11, 12, like it's really, really horrific. And these wee girls, because, they've had such attachment issues, when they're getting paid money and given drugs to have sex with these men, they think it's great. They're like, oh, fucking, and they're wearing their brand new clothes, so they don't see the pain, and they're getting attention and love from these men. Like, so the system fucks up these wee kids. And then the wee kids, when they leave care, these are the children that commit the most horrific crimes. And we're like, oh, look at that, horrible person. I'm like, if we had provided them with the care that they needed, the therapeutic care, then it would be a much different situation. But like, it doesn't matter what abuse that these wee kids face from their parents. See, as soon as they turn 18, 90% of the cases will always go back to their parents, even if their mother fucking drugged them, raped them, killed them.
I used to work in a wee youth thing in Exton, and you had to be referred by a social worker. But some of the kids, like their parents were like weren't great. But all these kids, when they'd been took off their mummies, just wanted to go back to their mummies. Like, no, it's the thing. Your mummy's like your idol, no matter what. If in school, what was the biggest most fights in school? If somebody said, "Oh, your man," and then people were fighting all the time.
You're straight from punches.
I know. So that's. Oh, the care system, like, it's so corrupt. Like, so when I was arrested and I heard all this information, I was like,
did they start giving you the information?
I know. I was just, that's the thing. Like, I'm like, I could chat to a fucking brick wall. Like, so, a wee police officer started speaking about the children's homes and he started telling me what was happening. Like, so I was like, fucking, this is great evidence for me. Thank you, PS and IRUC. So I get brought in and I get taken to my cell. Now, like, no one explains to me what's going on. I didn't even realize you could get food. Like, I hadn't showered. Like, I was treated like a fucking criminal. And then eventually my solicitor, John Fahey, comes. Now, we were told, I was arrested at 4:00, and we were told that I would speak to the detectives at 10:30. 11:30, they come in and say, oh, no, your detective's not coming. you'll have to wait until tomorrow. And poor John had been sitting there all night. And I was like, and it was John's. So John turned 71 yesterday, and he spent his 71st birthday with me. Do you know what I mean? The whole day with me. I know. It was and he was born the same day as my father. So it was fucking hilarious. Like, but they sent me back to my cell, and I was like, what the fuck? And just the anger came over me. So I was like, you fuckers aren't getting a quiet night. So I started fucking, and this is the thing, I always take my top off. Like, I hate fucking wearing clothes. So I had my top off, and they kept saying, Clodagh, put your top back on. It's, there's male police officer here. And I was like, I'm in my fucking cell. Like, I can do whatever I want. Like, I sleep naked. So
were you on your own in the cell?
I was on my own in the cell, yeah. So I stripped naked, fucking get me pillow and start fucking singing rebel songs. So I'm fucking singing Joe McDonnell, fucking everything, like O Roshi de Valhalla. And that's
a song, is
yeah, but it keeps your spirits high. Do you know what I mean? They want to fucking break you, but like that's one thing, you can't fucking break someone who's connected to spirit. You look at what's happening in Palestine, like mothers having their fucking children blowing up, and their spirit is so strong that they're like, my child is a martyr, like they've gone, like I'm so like that. You can't fucking break people that are strongly connected to spirit, and the police have probably never experienced anyone that's as connected to spirit as I am. Like, so I started fucking singing away at the rebel songs, and an hour of it, and just banging and drumming, and then I was like, right, fuck it, I'll go to sleep. So
I'm wrecked now.
Yeah. I'm like, I've got an interview in the morning. I'm lying there sleeping for 2 hours. The bastards come in just as I'm fucking about to sleep, and there was a female officer, and she was like, Clodagh, we're taking you to hospital. And I was like, why? And they're like, oh, we don't think you're mentally well. I was like, for fuck's sake. So anyway, they handcuffed me, and they put me in the back of, now the van that they put you in is literally like this wee fucking narrow thing. It's that you can't even lie down in it. Like, it's designed, I think, to drive you insane. And they take me up to Galvin Hospital, and I'm in fucking handcuffs. I'm in fucking handcuffs, like, and it's mad. This is a beautiful thing. As a social worker, I would have taken so many kids up with the police to be the responsible adult in Galvin, and then the fucking table turned. So I was like channeling all the kids in care that I had worked with. It was the most surrealist experience. And the fucking nurse came in and was just, because I was in handcuffs, the vein kept collapsing. So I just kept getting stabbed by fucking needles. And like needles, oh my God, I was just sitting there like, please fucking make this over. They had to get a doctor in then to fucking do it. Once that's over, that's about 2:30, then they send me out to the fucking van, and I lie in that van for fucking, I think it was 7:15. So I lie in that van for over 4 hours. No one offered me drinks. No one offered me food. No fresh air. Like, I was just fucking lying there. And like, I remember I curled up. I was able to like go in a ball and curl up on the floor of the van. And I remember seeing a video of a wee Palestine kid just like lying on the pavement, like literally like no family, no one to help them. And I just remember channeling that child. And I was like, if this child can do it, like just stay strong. Like at 7:00, they eventually, and the police officers weren't even checking to see, was there any follow-up? Like, it was a punishment. It was like, I let her fucking lie there.
Because you were messing the night before.
Well, it was because of what I had done, the hate crime. Do you know what I mean? Like, people...
Were they policemen? Were they orange men?
That's what I think. So the PSNI, the PSNI are still the RUC, no matter what way we disguise this. So like, they're trying to get, 50-50 representation, get Catholics in, but just because there's Catholics working in that force, and one of the men that arrested me was from the Bogside in Derry, but just because there's Catholics working in that force doesn't mean that force has actually changed. So there's still a representation of the Crown, do you know what I mean? They still have the old RUC brigade sort of working for them. So that really became clear. And it's so interesting, guys, because like, I would have been a massive, like, wouldn't say a supporter of the PSNI, but I was like, if things are going to change, we have to like get more, I suppose, like we have to
get involved.
And we have to like not be so negative on them. And it was really interesting. In Ahiarn, where I'm from, it's a real nationalist Republican place, and a Catholic man joined the PSNI, and it caused a big uproar in our community. And he went to actually drink, or to go in for a drink in the bar, and the landlady refused him. And I remember being so angry at her. I was like, I can't believe you done that, like, because they're such a lovely family, like the guy, and he probably done it, middle class paying job. But see, when I was lying in that cell and what I was put through, I remember thinking that woman, I was like, you're absolutely right, because like, no matter what way the PSNI change it, they're still the RUC in disguise. And an evidence of that is that they used a statement from a DUP MLA as a way of prosecuting me. So a DUP MLA that, voiced his own views, that was used as a statement of my prosecution.
What did he say?
he fucking says this is a hate crime, this is outrageous. I've had constituencies writing to me about how offended they were. Now this is about me out with this guy.
Do you want to name
the
him,
North Belfast MLA, I forget his, DUP, North Belfast MLA. I'll find out, because I'm going to be publicly talking about what happened to me on Instagram.
Maybe it's better we can't remember his name, because if we start name dropping,
I fucking name dropping. Let me tell you, when it's on the fucking the police record, like, I will be name dropping. So that really became clear to me. I was like, I don't, and it was funny in the court. They were like, oh, she says she doesn't recognize the police force, and I was like, it's not that I don't recognize you. I just think that you are an RUC. You're still the RUC, and like the RUC has caused so much pain in this fucking island. So I'm like, I don't believe you're here because I express nationalist United Ireland views. Like, I do think you will treat me different. And like this whole court case, once you see this unfold, guys, like the 7 charges that I have been counted for cannot stand by law. Like, so they've literally shot themselves in the foot. I was initially arrested on indecent exposure. So when I was arrested at 4:15 in Strabane, they arrested me for indecent exposure. Flashing a tit. So flashing your tit isn't actually indecent exposure. Like, there was men with their tops off in Belfast. There's loads of videos of women going around with their tits out, but because I suppose I had expressed, nationalist views then on my Instagram, they seen that as indecent exposure. But they actually changed. So that night when I was in the police station, you'd look my notes, they dropped the charges of indecent exposure and add in, I think it's indecent behavior to cause offense. So they shot themselves in the foot, because it was like, oh, let's straight away get her for indecent exposure. Didn't actually check the law.
What was it, the cause offense?
Well, to be honest, it's not actually what I done on the 12th that caused, I suppose, the main offence. What actually happened was on the 11th night. This is what they're putting me down as a hate crime. On the 11th day, I was with my Protestant. I was seeing a guy who's Protestant from Newton Ards, and we were driving. We had just been at the UDA Museum in Belfast. Like, I was.
What's it like?
The UDA Museum. It's basically just it's a museum to celebrate, I suppose, loyalist culture, and to like go into what the UDA done. So I this is how I want to learn as much about loyalism and unionism as possible. So I went to that museum. And it's interesting, because I don't know if you've seen a post on Instagram, the boy that got the selfie with me, but he was a big Protestant guy that seen me like marching on the parade, and he came up, he was in the UDA museum that day, but we stopped off. The guy I was with, he was like, can we please go into my past school? And I just want to show you about it. And I was fucking starving with a hunger. I was like, you could fucking tell in my answers.
So then, because did you already said, but that's what happened then? You went to the school.
Have I already said it in this podcast? Yeah. So that's what I'm being charged as a hate crime, because when I was in there and I was singing, and I was singing it to him because he is British born.
So like, see all the charges. So there's 7 charges. What type of time are you looking at? Like, if you get found guilty, are you going to get time? Or
I don't think, like, because they're not. It's based on perception rather than the law. So the PSNI RUC are, taking into account, all the media uproar, like what the Sunday World or Sunday Life's writing about me, what the DUP MLAs are saying about me. That's not actually upheld by law. Yeah. So it shows this is a massive discrimination case, like the likes of I don't think we've seen, in this time. So it's fucking huge. I've got barristers.
History making, like, you must be probably the first Catholic to walk in the parade with a sash, and then a double history, the first flasher to go there.
There's been loads of flashers in the 12th. Oh, the women do that all the time.
But in the parade?
In the parades, yeah. Right. So they...
What's your parents think about it?
Out of everything, like, I've always known that, like, I'm grand doing this, but like my parents, it's really, really tough on them, and not actually from wearing the sash. It's more I suppose the sexual stuff that's coming out.
The way down the bar,
But guys, it's like, this is a big mission. What I want to do, like, conceived without sin is the most damaging words that have ever been created to mankind, because they've turned our sexuality into this real negative, disgusting, dirty force, whereas to me sexuality is the most beautiful thing that's accessible to human beings. Like, this is where life is created from. It's pleasure, it's joy, it's ecstasy, and the Catholic Church knew what they were doing when they put those words in. So like, a big mission, what I'm here to do for the reunification of Ireland, but I also want to help people come back to sexuality and come back to what I suppose because Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, like they were divine counterparts. Mary Magdalene wasn't a prostitute. They made her out to be a prostitute. No.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, so she was actually a priestess of Isis. So she taught Jesus, like a lot of what Jesus knew was through his relationship with Mary, and they actually had a daughter called Sophia. So like a big mission, what I want to do is to bring back the story of Mary Magdalene, and also to help people come back to sexuality, not the sexuality we see in pornography that's fucking, you know, hardcore, like heavy sex, you know, banging. Like I want to bring back like tantric sexuality. Do you know what I mean? So like it's a big mission what I'm here to do.
People are getting away from sexuality.
I think sexuality is, it's the sanctity, the sacredness of sexuality has been destroyed by like pornography and the media. Like when you actually look at what sexuality is, it's the most beautiful, like it's basically sexuality is when your two souls interact and communicates, and we've actually lost the sacredness of sexuality. It's mad what's happened. So like on the 6th of August, I'm hoping, depending on my court date, but like I'm going to be releasing a fansly. I'm going to be releasing a fansly called Big Pussy Energy, and it's got the
big.
Do you ever see? Do you know the Sheila in the gig? Do you know the Sheila in the gig that like sits and like tears open? Have you ever seen that symbol? No. So this is it on my necklace here. Yeah, this is it in my necklace. So I want to bring like Sheila in the gig sexuality back to Ireland, because sexuality.
What does that symbolize? Like,
so that's the Sheila in the gig. So that's the big.
Like, what is the message behind it?
Yeah, so this is where Big Pussy Energy basically comes from. These are found all over Ireland and all over, like in holy places and churches and chapels. So it's the Sheila in the gig isn't a pretty, beautiful woman. She's an old, grotesque woman that is sitting there with her fucking old vulva splayed open. And I know, and what it's showing. What it's showing to people, guys, it's like sexuality is nothing to do with the male gaze. It's nothing to do with appearing like attractive to men. It's like reminding women of the full force of their sexuality, that like nothing or anything can take you away from. So on the 6th of August, I'll be releasing a fansly called Big Pussy Energy, and it's like trying to get people back to divine sexuality. I'm going to be, sex education is going to be part of it, but I'm also going to be filming. Like I've got directors coming in to like film Celtic eroticism. So like there's so much. I've also been doing a few amateur stuff myself, just to promote this here as well. So like I want to show people like a different platform to sexuality, that, you know, when a child types in sex porn to the Google, they're not being brought to all this fucking like horrible stuff. Like
in my house, Tyrone always slags about it, but I have the child lock, so I'm protected from all this. It's like, so I would.
Yeah, this guy he needs a password.
Need a password to
get on anything
for the kids, but it's fucking.
That word is scary as well. Like back in the day, we didn't have phones or anything.
Oh no,
our kids now.
They could be on porn all day.
Like we didn't have access like that, and we still probably try to get on it when we're on our computers or dial-up internet.
Remember,
Mommy goes out of the house and you're going on the
have an RV window set up just in case somebody comes in.
But our kids like literally could just go on anything on the phone and just see insanity.
Yeah, and what does this teach them about sex as well? When they then go to have sex for the first time, they're like, oh, it's fucking hard fucking, you know, I have to have a big dick, I have to have like no hair, I have to have like, you have to be looked this certain way, and their wee heads are just
I was reading this thing that said Gen Zs are having the least sex of any generation. So maybe that's putting them off. All
pressure. It's too much pressure. They're like, fuck, am I doing this right? Like, you know, I might like this whole thing about making someone come. Like tantric sex doesn't focus on orgasm. It actually doesn't even focus on penetration. So like there's a practice with tantric sex.
Or like staring each other's eyes and shit.
No. So there's a lot of like genital, but it's like it takes away, I suppose, penetration and orgasm as like the main goals of sex. Because like you think of guys and like getting it up. Like there's so much pressure on men that like, oh, I have to maintain an erection or I'm not a man. Like tantric sex actually takes you away from that. There's a practice in tantric sex called soft penetration, where you actually put your flaccid penis inside a woman's vagina, and you just sit there and rest there, and that's so your souls can actually interact through that there, because it's like one of the biggest practices for tantric sex. So like this is why I want to like educate. When I became a social worker, like the main thing that always sticks with me is like make information jargon free. So you look at tantric sex now, there's all these fucking spiritual hippies like speaking a load of nonsense. Like I want to make information understandable and digestible, so that the man on the street can understand it as much as, you know, a fucking top professional. Like, so this is always my role. So like, I want to make that with sexuality. I want to make it with a reunified Ireland, and I want to make it with mushrooms. So
how do them three all interlink?
Well, this is the thing. So, how long do we have?
We've got an RV word.
So the web, right. So here's a bit of Celtic mythology for you. So have you ever heard of Macha's curse?
Nah.
So Macha was a really famous woman in Irish mythology, but basically she cursed the men of Ulster. So the men of Ulster are under a curse. So this is why they haven't been able to throw off the rule of British. And I'll not get into the story, but basically she runs in a race and they make her run while she was pregnant and she gives birth in the line. I'm going to be telling it fully on my Instagram, but she curses the men of Ulster. Now, this isn't some fairy tale fantasy. This is actually written in one of the most famous forms of Irish literature there is, called the Tain Bow, which is a story about Queen Maeve and Cuchulainn. And basically it's a big cattle raid, but this is written down in one of our earliest forms of literature about the curse on the men of Ulster. So this is why the men of Ulster haven't been able to throw off England, because there's a fucking curse on them. Like, but the thing is, she cursed the men of Ulster. She never cursed the woman. So it's up to the woman of Ulster now to come together and actually fucking help unite. And it's brilliant about the woman of Ulster, because a lot of us are mothers or, social workers. So like, we will care as much about the Protestant children as we will the Catholic children. Like, I always think that quote of Bobby Sands, like, our revenge will be the laughter of our children. Like, I want like our revenge to be the laughter of all children, Protestant, Catholic, Shankill, like wherever you come from, like I won't be happy unless you're happy in this reunified Ireland. So what are the weapons of the feminine? So the weapons of the masculine, are bombs, guns, which have caused so much destruction here in Ireland. The feminine never really wants to start a war that causes destruction. So the main weapons of the feminine are music, sex, and mushrooms. So it's like channeling these three, the ancient Celtic knot, to suppose reunify Ireland. So the music part, like, I grew up listening. My first album was a Wolf Tones. So, and it's interesting, my parents are probably the most, we didn't grow up in a sectarian household. Like, my mother's family ran a bar in Castledairg, and it was predominantly Protestants that drank there. So I always say the Protestants fed us. And then my father, he's a farmer. So like, we share land with a boy that used to be in the UDR. So like, we never grew up to like hate Protestants, but we grew up with music. So like, music is what carries this message for freedom. Do you know what I mean? Like, I look at Bob Marley's Redemption song, like, it's fucking one of my favorites. Like, but even in Palestine, like, music is a big part of what carries their, I suppose, response for freedom. Like, so I'm actually creating a United Ireland band, which will be launched next year, and it's going to bring like Irish rebel songs to a modern audience, putting a bit of like a Celtic pagan twist in them. Like, because when you listen to fucking Joe McDonnell, like, you hear those words like, and you dare to call me a terrorist while you look down your gun. Like, that. Isn't that fucking line? Like you can imagine Hamas, like, you can imagine the fucking Palestinians. You dare to call me a terrorist whilst you're fucking looking down your gun, whilst you're sending a dog to attack my son with Down syndrome. Like, you dare to fucking call me a terrorist, you bastards. Like, so I'll never forget Joe McDonnell, and there was a wee guy from the south over, and like, Southerners, this is the thing, Southerners are so disconnected from what's happening in the north. Like, they fucking left us behind. Like, they've no interest in learning about the fucking north. But if we can bring the music to the south, bring the rebel songs that they would never have heard, because I'll never forget a wee guy when he heard Joe McDonnell for the first time, he could hear the fucking hairs standing up on his fucking neck. He was like, this response, because like, he would not have heard about the hunger strikers, he would not have heard about what happened. So that band will be coming. I think it's going to be the White Rabbits. I'm trying to discuss all their members, like, but the White Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland, it's like going down the rabbit hole to suppose free yourself. Like, so the White Rabbit's that symbol of freedom. So music, sex, so this is where the Fansly comes in, and like, sex is going to be a big part of the band as well. Like, sexuality to me is one of the biggest forms of liberation, and not like male gaze sexuality, like the Sheila and the Gig sexuality. Like, this is what will free Ireland. And then the mushrooms. So have you guys used mushrooms before?
Nah.
What the actual fuck? I am out of this fucking
my friend told me years ago that if you take a mushroom, it never leaves your system. So you could be driving down the road 10 years after the fact and then have a trip. And I was like, you know what?
No.
I don't need them problems.
There's a lot of misinformation about mushrooms and like the types of mushrooms. So the Liberty caps that grow here in Ireland, like these are fucking, I wouldn't even call them mushrooms. They are the most strongest plant medicine, stronger than ayahuasca, stronger than fucking cactus mescaline. Like we have the strongest medicine, and people think that this is what mushrooms are.
What's it feel like?
Well, it depends what type of mushroom. When you take mushrooms, it's like.
What's the best mushroom to take, do you think?
Oh, there's so many. Like I couldn't comment. Like on what everyone's different. Like
and you do yoga as well. Well,
yeah. So we have Yoga Celium, which we've been running in Belfast, Dublin. We're taking it around Ireland, but it's basically doing yoga and mushrooms. And like we've had people fucking like heal so much. We had a doll got pregnant that had been trying to get pregnant, got pregnant in one of our Yoga Celium containers that night.
Jesus.
Mushrooms like
seems like this yoga's crazy.
I know.
Sitting the yoga, damn our dogland.
Just pregnant.
Just pregnant.
Oh, but guys,
How do you know? Seriously, don't be a menace. After to have sex, I'm pregnant. You know, I can feel it.
guys, yoga and mushrooms will fucking mushrooms. Like that's what I'm going to be doing after this podcast is Senji. Like I make mushroom chocolates that aren't too strong, and like people
How
use
long does the thing last?
the mushroom chocolates last for about 3 hours. Like they're not too strong, but
And what happens during it? You take a mushroom.
oh well, you take these chocolates which aren't too strong. You just feel connection to yourself. You feel love, happiness. That voice in your mind that sort of tells you you're a fucking twat or an idiot sort of turned off. So it's just pure bliss and ecstasy. Like they're incredible. Like
Do you not vision stuff from mushroom?
if you take a bigger dose, yes, you can. See, this is where the misinformation with mushrooms comes, that it's this big fucking mad trip. Like you can take mushrooms and just, it's like a natural MDMA. It's like pure euphoria, pure bliss, but like you don't have any negative side effects. You wake up the next day and you're like, oh my fucking God.
It's
like, I feel
MDMA,
great.
not natural as well.
No, MDMA is a chemical. It's made from sassafras, which is a plant, but like there's a lot of chemical stuff added. Like I've done MDMA before, but like I wouldn't do it again because it can fuck with your serotonin receptors in your brain. To me, mushrooms, like we've got a lot of like people on the street trying to get like mushrooms to the hoods, you know what I mean? Like so that they're not fucking filling themselves with pills and like they're actually healing through the mushrooms. Like so I will give some teas that you can try. Like particularly if you've got partners, like I design these chocolates for sex, and like people take a mushroom chocolate and have sex and they're like, through that voice in my head that tells me, oh, your fat rolls rolling, or you're gonna get floppy soon. Like that voice is like that voice is turned off, you know what I mean? And you just get to enjoy your partner and the bliss and the ecstasy of your body.
Would you say it's a completely different experience?
Yeah. Oh my God. Like sex, it'll up your game in sex, like that you won't even believe. Like so, I love because there's couples that have been taking these chocolates, together 30 years, and like when you're with someone long term, like sometimes your sex life just naturally, it loses that spark. So like these mushrooms are bringing spark back into people's sexual lives, like, which I'm like, because to me music, sex and mushrooms is what will not only liberate Ireland but liberate the Irish people from what happened here. Like look what happened with sexuality in Ireland. Like, do you know much about the Magdalene homes? Yeah. So if like women were deemed too sexual, like I would be in the fucking Magdalene home. If women were deemed too sexual, they were put in these fucking homes and abused and horrifically, like some of them were raped by fucking nuns. It was absolutely disgusting. So this still lingers particularly amongst Irish women. We're like, oh, I don't want to be too sexual, and like there's such a fear and a stigma here. Like, but I want to because see, before the church landed here and the British landed here, the Irish were one of the most sexual people in the world. They actually found dildos in one of our sacred sites in Nouth. So these big massive dildos, like they found them. So like we worked with sexuality so much. Like sex is one of the most beautiful forces that you can work with. Not only does it create life, but it can actually heal. So say if like you have an orgasm, that can actually reset parts of your body that have experienced trauma. So like after you come or after you have sex, like you just feel this absolute endorphin high. So like I want to take the shame out of sexuality and like bring it back to the way Irish people used to have it. And it's interesting because in this court report, like they have tried to, make my sexuality a mockery. So it's been a beautiful testament as well to the perception of female sexuality.
Do you think what you've done on the 12th, you've achieved what you wanted to set?
Achieved and more, guys. Like this has been, even the Sunday Life has released another the second week on the fucking front page, but they've called my sexcapades in Campbell College and all, and I'm just like, I'm releasing a fucking Fansly version. Thank you very much, guys.
I've seen a lot of you put it up on Instagram, people asking where's your OnlyFans?
I
Where's your
know.
OnlyFans?
People be writing me all the time, like, when are you releasing it? I'm like, fuck's sake. I've like directors. This isn't going to be some, like, this is going to be high class, like, you know, movie entertainment. And I want to keep the charge like really, really low for it. And I want to like give away, you know, for people like in lower socioeconomic backgrounds, they can afford it. You know what I mean? And like bring, I suppose, not only will it be sacred, but it'll be fucking hilarious. Like, I love weaving humor and sexuality together. Like, I think having the crack is how we break this heavy energy that's here in Ireland. Like, so I'm so excited to release it. God help me parents. Like, that's one thing about my parents. Like, because where we're from, it's Ahiarns are really close.
Prude, was it?
Not compared to some people's parents, but it's just like where I'm from, Ahiarn, like it's not like Belfast, like it's a country rural place, and a big part of how they control it is like, you know, all the neighbours were talking about you, such and such says this here, so that's really, really hard. My parents are the most amazing people. Even like when I was getting the bail read out, a barrister, like I don't know how, like just these barristers keep jumping on my case, but a barrister read out, you know, her parents are, you know, really well respected in the community, and like they told what they done, and they were like, oh, they're willing to give, you know, £1,000 bail for her, like, so. And then like the boy that was on before me in the court, like, God help him, like he was screaming and crying, and like it just shows in the court system, if you come from, you know, a well respected background, then you're more likely to be treated fairly, which is fucking shit. Like I, as a social worker, I'm like, there should be no, just because what my parents do, there should be no fucking change in that. Like, so yeah, I do like. My parents are fucking incredible. I know when Ireland is reunited and free, they'll understand. Like, but for right now, I've just got to fucking. And I told my dad, I was like, Daddy, I'll be a millionaire by Christmas with Fansly, and I fucking give you money. Like, as long as there's money coming in, my dad will be happy. Like.
Listen, we've talked
very interesting. Thanks for coming on.
Loved it.
Good luck with your court case. I hope you don't get the
charges. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. Like, subscribe, and share, and also. Don't forget to get on their Instagrams, get the live tickets for the show on the 9th, and also Patreon. It's £2 a month. Doesn't break a bank. Yeah. It's probably cheaper than her fans. So get on that and subscribe and support the podcast. Thank you.
Peace. With him going all the way.